Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are at. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Anyway, today we're going to talk about, this is one of our investment days, so we're going to talk about some of the rules that came out for inherited IRAs. If you are into this thing, then this will be some good news for you. And I am going to get off of this video. I did not put my hair down today, if you didn't recognize me, my normal subscribers. Okay, so we're going to talk about some IRS proposed some new rules for inherited IRAs, and I'm just passing this along in case some of you didn't know. Some heirs will be required to take annual withdrawals in the future, and it's never been easier, and some could say it's complex, but hopefully everybody has their will set up or an estate set up when they start acquiring some assets. Under the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement, which is called Secure Act, which took effect in 2020, adult children and the non-spouse heirs are required to deplete their inherited IRAs and other tax-advantaged accounts within 10 years of the death of the original owner. So how do you handle this if you can't spend all your money in 10 years after somebody dies? You know, previously these heirs could take their withdrawals over the life expectancy, which could reduce the size of the annual withdrawals and allow untapped assets to grow. So since they are changing the laws didn't change for the rules for surviving spouses along with heirs who are disabled or are no more than 10 years younger than the original IRA owner. So it's a lot of little rules, and if you need more assistance with this, then you should definitely contact a professional who specializes in inheritance or estate tax or estate law, because there's a lot of little rules here that you have, and you want to make sure that you don't lose any money. And it might be best to just roll the money into a different IRA so that you don't risk losing any money if you don't spend it within a certain amount of time. And you also don't want to get taxed in it. So heirs can roll the money into their own IRAs and then take withdrawals as needed over their life expectancy. You know, after the months when the law took effect, which was in 2020, which seemed to be a crisis for everything, right? Many financial professionals assumed these new rules meant non-spouse heirs, which could wait until the 10th year to deplete their inherited IRAs, which would provide them a decade of tax-deferred growth. Heirs who were planning to retire in a few years could postpone withdrawals until they fell into a lower tax bracket, which could also reduce your taxes. But with this recent proposed guidance from the IRS, it puts the kibosh on with the withdrawal strategy. So if you need help getting a withdrawal strategy, you could try and contact a tax professional and maybe an estate planner, and make sure that you got everything together. Under the proposed laws, non-spouse heirs would be required to take annual withdrawals based on their life expectancy. If this original owner died on or after his or required beginning date for distributions from a traditional IRA under current law, that date is April 1st after the year the original owner turned 72. So you can see there is a lot of rules on this. So after taking required annual withdrawals for 9 years, heirs will be required to deplete the balance in the 10th year. And hopefully you have it set up, or if you have it set up to where if you forget about it, somebody's going to let you know. If the original owner died before that date, the heirs wouldn't be required to take annual withdrawals, but would still be required to deplete the account in 10 years. For most heirs, the required distributions wouldn't be very large. For example, a 50-year-old who inherited an IRA worth $200,000 would be required to withdraw $55 $125, about 3% of the total in the first year, but because the penalty for failing to take a required distribution is severe, which is 50% of the amount that should have been withdrawn, most beneficiaries aren't going to take more than the minimum. The proposed guidance from the IRS also creates a conundrum for individuals who inherited an IRA after January 1st, 2020, and delayed taking withdrawals because they believe they have 10 years to deplete their account. Although the rules suggest they should have taken a withdrawal last year, you can't go back and take a 2021 distribution unless you have a time machine. So, let's see, what's his name? Slot of IRAhelp.com predicts that the IRS will provide a waiver for those heirs who, this just came out in 2020. So for those people in that situation, they might provide a waiver, because how would you know? I mean, you can't spend that in super fast time. The gift of a Roth. Seniors who want to reduce the tax burden on their heirs may want to consider converting some of their funds in a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. And the IRS proposes rules that make Roths even more attractive to inherit, because while the Secure Act, spelled the same way it sounds, requires non-spouse heirs to deplete Roths within 10 years, the withdrawals are tax-free, and since Roth owners don't have to take the required minimum distributions, there is no required beginning date for Roth IRAs. So that means individuals who inherit a Roth will still be able to wait 10 years to deplete the account, which will provide them with a decade of tax-free growth. So that's another option for those trying to get around giving the IRS all your money for your inherited retirement accounts. So hopefully this helps somebody. This is our little investment money video for the day. And if you don't have an estate or a will plan intact, then you should consider getting one. They don't cost that much money. You can even make them up yourself and get a notary to sign off on it if you can't afford a lawyer. So just keep that in mind. Thank you all for watching. Please come back and see us soon.